Hi there, I'm Kabba, the corporate fox, and today I want to talk to you about how I became a furry. The truth is, my journey to being a crazy fox person is a very long one. You see, when I was a kid, my favorite movie was Robin Hood. You know, Robin Hood? The one Nick Wilde was based on. I also had a Sega Genesis growing up. That was cool. I mean, that was cool for the time. That was cool for back then. No, it's still pretty cool. It's cool. I played a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic 2 is actually my favorite. One of my favorite games of all time. It's not necessarily furry, but it's pretty furry. It's a pretty furry game. You know, you play as a hedgehog, you're trying to save all these animals from being turned into robots. Trying to help the animals, the animal people, the furries. You know, but that was just the game. At least I thought it was just a game. And then I discovered the holy grail of Sonic the Hedgehog. We are talking about the best Sonic cartoon ever made. This show completely opened my eyes. It made me a furry for life. Now, I was pretty much stuck in the world of cartoons at the time. I had seen a lot of furry artwork, and I had spent some time talking to furries online, but you gotta understand, there were a lot of communities on the internet back when I was growing up. But most people like me, it was an internet-only experience. So, you know, you'd hang out in forums and IRC chats with people, but then you'd go to school, almost like it's a video game, and then you just have to turn it off, and then you go back to the real world. Unfortunately. But it wasn't until I saw photos of a fursuit that all of that changed. Growing up, I felt cautious and just generally nervous. I was afraid of people knowing I was a furry. I was kind of ashamed of it. But these fursuiters, I mean, they had to know that too. They had to know that regular people thought it was weird, but it was almost as if they were saying, so what? And I gotta say, that was pretty cool. Now, as a young adult, I continued to stay on the outskirts of being a furry. I was still too afraid to really tell anybody or talk about it. And then for a few years, I was in a relationship with somebody who did not like furries at all. And that person made me feel like it was something to definitely be ashamed of. And since that was already kind of the voice in the back of my head, it just kind of confirmed my worst fears. So I kind of stayed away from the furry fandom as far as possible for the longest time, for many years. That relationship did eventually end though, and I was lucky enough to meet a husky named Cobalt. Cobalt and I got along so well, we were practically inseparable. We eventually started dating and, well, we've been married for a few years now. One of the things I love about him is he's never been ashamed of being a furry. Not only do his coworkers know he's a furry, but he's actually converted a couple of coworkers into becoming furries themselves. That takes talent. The point is, he completely changed my outlook on what being a furry could mean. And it wasn't until after meeting Cobalt that I decided to dive headfirst into the fandom. It was almost like I was awake for the first time. It was so cool. I was so excited. I got involved with the local furry community. I started a local furry group. I briefly had a convention. Not gonna talk about that. Still hurts a little bit. I made so many friends through our local community, and I've got so many great memories. I can't even imagine my life without them anymore. It's been a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. And while being a furry doesn't make up all of who I am, it is a huge part of who I am. And the bottom line is it makes me happy. And that's how I became a furry. What about you? How did you become a furry? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.